The more and more I read articles and look at videos talking about Maddie Soto, the more and more my heart breaks for her. The more I am so outraged and angry by Jenn Soto. She did not love her daughter. She did not love her daughter more than she loved having a man in her house, the sometimes company of an on-again, off-again man in her house. She even says several times on video that she prioritized Maddie's safety for Stefan. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I will give you a backstory of Stefan, Jenn, and Maddie. Maybe tell you some things that you may have missed if you are familiar with this very tragic, disgusting story. I tried to keep it in order as best as I can, so please just bear with me. Maddie was born to a single mother. Her father would marry another woman months after Maddie was born. Jenn didn't work much, but she had a 4-bedroom townhouse in a gated community in Kissimmee, Florida, near Disney. Jenn would rent out 3 of those bedrooms. She even had numbers on them, 2, 3, and 4. So there were roommates in and out of the townhouse. Jenn said they all paid rent between $650 to $850. She had to pay rent as well to her father. She says he actually is the one that owns the townhouse. It's unclear how Jenn Soto would meet Stefan Stearns, but he would move in and become this father figure, this so-called stepfather to Maddie, and quote, one of the best friends, end quote, that Jenn said she ever had. Stefan now lived inside the townhouse, and he didn't work either. There was actually Stefan claiming his father had some work for him, but that conveniently fell through. So he didn't have a job. He was basically just a freeloader. Now, Sunday, February 25th, 2024, that was Maddie's birthday, and she was turning 13 years old, a teenager. She had a birthday party with relatives. Jenn says she was working and could not attend, and Stefan could not be there as well because Maddie's maternal grandmother did not like him, and he did not tell the police that. Now, is it just me? But this is your only child, your daughter, her 13th birthday. She's becoming a teenager. This is one of the exciting landmarks of her age. Remember? It was like your first birthday, then it was when you was 13 because you was a teenager, then it was when you was 18 because you were legally considered grown, then it was 21 because you could go into a club, right? Those were like the landmark ages. So your daughter is turning 13 and you don't request off from work. I mean, you knew she wanted a party. You knew there was going to be a party. So you didn't ask months in advance that you had to attend your daughter's 13th birthday? I mean, that just really doesn't sit right with me. Supposedly, Maddie had told all her friends that when she turned 13 years old, she was going to live in the woods. And these were messages that was left on her cell phone, supposedly created by Maddie. On February 26, 2024, the day after Maddie's birthday party, Maddie is reported missing. Jenn receives an alert that Maddie never arrived to school. Stefan wanted to drive around and see if he could find her. Jenn thought that they should, quote, sit tight, unquote. Maddie may come home soon. Jenn said that Stefan was avoiding updating his phone. He was talking about it. They keep sending me these updates to update my phone. And she just said, go on and update it. Stop avoiding it. So when he tries to update his phone, he accidentally resets it twice, losing all the information on his phone. Jenn didn't understand how that happened. There are steps you have to follow to reset it. You cannot accidentally do this, but Stephen did. Stephen had took Jenn's car and went searching for Maddie. Nothing. Jenn and Stephen, they go to the police about the disappearance of Maddie hours later. Jenn would speak. Even Stephen would sometimes try to speak, but he was crying. He was very emotional. Jenn had to comfort him. Jenn's 37-year-old boyfriend, Stephen, said he dropped Maddie off in a church parking lot a little bit from the school. Stephen said he was to do this because Maddie was embarrassed by his vehicle that he drove. He told her to have a nice day and that he loved her, and she responded, "I love you too." Stephen sat there in the police station explaining by accident that his phone had reset twice when he was trying to update it. However, they still asked permission to look through his phone. All his lies would be exposed along with Jenn's too. So moving along, there is CCC footage everywhere. From Stephen at the townhouse dumpster. There's a camera right by the dumpster, looking dead in the dumpster. I don't know if Stephen knew that, but it's right there. Several times he's there, throwing Maddie's school-issued laptop, her book bag, one white crock inside it, emptying 2 large white trash bags. There's also CCC footage of Maddie in the car, strapped in, slumped over in a position that was not normal. Her mouth was open. CCC footage of him at 9271 South John Young Parkway. He drives up to the second level. He backs his vehicle into the parking space by the stairs, and he walks towards the rear of his vehicle. He opens the trunk and he places Maddie inside his trunk. Maddie is dead. He drives around some more. He stops at a vape shop. He's also seen with a spare tire now in his car. He even chatted with Jenn over the phone. Stephen has a flat tire. CCC footage would see a spare tire in his car. A tip would later come through that a man fitting the description of Stephen was, in fact, changing a tire. He also explained to the police why there were scratches on his hands, because he was changing the tire. Jenn and Stephen were being questioned by detectives separately. Stephen insisted that he dropped Maddie off at school. He even told the detectives Maddie had a crush on a boy at school. He talked to Jenn about this crush. He wasn't sure if Maddie was sexually active with this boy or any boy. She wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. He made sure Jenn found out about Maddie's crush. Now Jenn, she was surprised that Maddie had a crush. Jenn also said that Maddie felt more comfortable with talking to Stephen about things like this. Jenn said Maddie told her the boy's name and that he was tall with fluffy hair, and Jenn somewhat giggles after she says that. Now Stephen, his phone is now in police custody. He is probably hoping any incriminating things had been erased, but it wasn't. There were 35,000 images of child pee. Now, you know I have to clean up the language, so please bear with me. And 17 images of Maddie. Maddie was on his phone in videos, dated as far back as 2020 when Maddie was 9 years old. The abuse probably started earlier than that. This is how far back Google Drive went, 4 years. So her abuse was probably longer. Whenever he probably had a chance to be with Maddie alone, under 9 years old, that is when the abuse more than likely started. Stephen would request an attorney, and he was arrested. Detectives are now speaking with Jenn Soto. Jenn referred in the past tense several times when she was speaking about Maddie. Now, this is when Maddie was just missing. So that is a little strange. Now, Jenn speaks about Maddie's 13th birthday. Maddie was dropped off by her aunt. Jenn said Maddie was happy and she was in good spirits. And again, Jenn and Stefan did not attend the birthday party. Jenn says she directed Maddie and Stefan to go upstairs to room 4 and go to sleep. In the same room, same bed, one pillow. I mean, this was allowed. Jenn said she needed to take her meds and get some good sleep. That's what she uses, some good sleep. This was sadly normal for Maddie. She'd been sleeping in the bed with this grown man for years. If not by herself, all 3 of them would snuggle. That's what they said, snuggle. And have a, quote, slumber party, unquote. That's what they called these gatherings when she was up in room 4 with him. They were called slumber parties, believe it or not. Jenn hands the detective her phone, and the password is her birthday. She realizes when the cop says, "That's tomorrow." She's like, "What? My birthday's tomorrow?" That would be the only time that Jenn shows any emotion. Oh, she cries, she moans, she's heavy breathing. It's outrageous. That even pissed me off even more. She cried so hard that her birthday was tomorrow. But her daughter is missing, and she did not shed one tear for that, didn't care about her daughter turning 13 at her party, but she cries that her birthday is tomorrow. And as she cries, she sobs and she says, "This will be the worst birthday ever." That's what she said. Now, Jenn, in earlier discussions with the police, she told them that she seen Maddie that morning, that Maddie was dressed and ready to go, and that they both dropped her off at school. Now, she would conveniently change that story. She says that she was confused. So now Jenn is recalling the discussion she had with Stefan hours before Maddie went to school. She got up, got dressed. They went to McDonald's for breakfast. She slept all the way to school, and he dropped her off at that church parking lot. Now, when Jenn seen him at the house, he was at home playing with his phone on the computer. Remember, he accidentally reset it. And, he was acting normal. Everything was normal. Jenn had got that message, and, they just had to figure out what to do. So they waited a little while. Nothing happened. Stefan claims he went looking for Maddie. Nothing happened. Jenn speaks about a lot of things. Not too many of those things are about Maddie, unless the police stirs her back to the situation at hand, which is Maddie. Where's Maddie? Now, police, they showed Jenn a picture of Maddie performing on Stefan. She doesn't cry. She doesn't react. She advises Stefan's father to get him a lawyer. That's what she does. She felt the police were focusing in on her man, and if Maddie was out there, she needed to be found. The quote, sex stuff wasn't evil, but if he murdered Maddie, that was evil, end quote. That's what she said. She called the picture sex stuff. Yes, she knew about this sex stuff. I really think she knew about this sex stuff. It's just amazing. You see your daughter in a picture and you're protecting him, wanting him to have the proper defense services. That's all she's thinking about. That's all she's thinking about. Nah, you better get to him before I get to him. That's not what she's thinking about. Even the detective was angry. I can hear it in his voice. He was angry. He was annoyed. So the detective now asks her about the sleeping arrangements. Maddie sleeps in the middle. Jenn sleeps in her everyday clothes. That's what she said. And Maddie likes to sleep in big tees and shorts. And Stefan in his boxers. sometimes pajamas, and they all share this king-size bed. The summer parties. Jenn said Maddie always slept with her, unless she was in room 4 with Stefan. Now, I was viewing Court TV when they shared pictures of what was inside room 4. On the dresser, out in the clear, is a male sex toy that men use to pleasure themselves with. Pleasuring cream, the one pillow, a lot of lollipops in there, and danishes in there. And there is a 9mm gun, fully loaded. There's a mini fridge in there, and there are Digimon cards in room 4. There's also an extra lock on the door. All the other doors upstairs, they have the little chain locks on them, but there is an extra lock on room 4. Now, there are 4 rooms again. Jenn has 1. The 2 female roommates shared 2 and 3, and the guest room / Stefan's room was room 4. Maddie's room was a corner of the living room. Her bed was behind a partition. Jenn said Maddie didn't really want to be down there alone because it was big and open and that there were spiders. Maddie's bed was just 2 or 3 feet away from the sliding glass door. This is where Maddie's room was. It wasn't even a room. Maddie's area of this house was. We have a 2-story townhouse, and Maddie gets a small area of the house. Inside Maddie's makeshift room was a hamper, and inside the hamper was Maddie's birthday dress. The dress that she had on in her last picture of her alive. And Stefan's boxers was also in the hamper too, in her little makeshift area of the house. And a tripod. There was a tripod in that area too. Jenn spoke about things that she wouldn't allow sexually. The only thing that she didn't want to do was anal. She's in such denial. There was a situation where Maddie was bleeding anally, and she was given, I believe, Marimax. She was constipated, and Jenn says that she gave her something. So your daughter is bleeding from that area, and you already know that you don't want to do that. And come on. It's a no-brainer. On another note, she even questioned Maddie's 90-minute showers. Only she says that Maddie loved to take showers. An hour to an hour and a half. Yeah, 90-minute showers. A detective said he treated Maddie like he treated you. And it was crickets. She didn't say anything because Stefan treated Maddie like a girlfriend. That's exactly what he did. That's probably who he felt that she was, because there was times when Jenn was not even sexually active with him. Jenn even admits that she knew that Stefan was grooming her, but she allowed it. She never did anything to stop it. So the police are basically assuming that Maddie is no longer with us. And he's telling Jenn, we have to find Maddie quickly. We have to get her out of the elements. We need to know where she is. We need to know what happened. He even asks Jenn, how do you think Stefan killed Maddie? And she tells him, probably chokes her, because there would be a mess any other way. So he probably chokes her. And she was wondering how, and this is her words, I don't understand how he would get the body out the house. She never says Maddie. She calls Maddie the body. Now remember, Maddie, in her head, is supposed to be still alive. She's just missing. Maybe Maddie's off somewhere with her crush, remember? She's just missing. Now, Jenn said she also kept track of Maddie's periods on a period tracker. She said that she also had 2 pregnancy tests under the bathroom sink. She didn't know if they had been used or not. And on another note, someone, either Maddie or Stefan, I'm thinking it was Stefan, but someone ordered the new parent coin. You know, the coin that you flip and it says, you know, your turn, my turn. That coin was ordered. And Stefan they're talking about that coin. Why would they have that coin? Maddie is 13 now. So you don't have to flip a coin to see who's going to feed Maddie. She was even cooking for herself at this point. Who's going to give Maddie a bath? No, Maddie was taking 90-minute showers. Maddie was blow drying her own hair. Maddie was doing everything that any normal 13-year-old girl would do physically to self-take care of themselves, not the other stuff. But, you know, she was living as normal as a 13-year-old. I'll say self-sufficient, because no, I hope there's not any 13-year-old girls or 12-year-old girls that has an area of a big ass townhouse and is being directed to sleep with a gross man. I would hope not. But Maddie was able to take care of herself. She was in that situation. She was. So again, Jenn believes that Maddie was choked. Now, Maddie's body was found not too far from where Stefan was changing his flat tire, and the way they described the body, there was already, you know, flies, maggots all around her, on her face. You know, she was on her side like he had just threw her there and hurried up and got back in the car. And, I mean, a very sad situation.
I also need to add that Maddie did die from asphyxiation. She was strangled.
Very sad situation. Jenn explains how Stefan was a father figure, a stepfather, and her best friend. Jenn and Stefan, they would break up. However, Stefan still lived there when they broke up. So that's probably around the times that she wasn't being intimate with him. But at this point, he probably doesn't care because he's interested in somebody else in that house. And it wasn't the 2 older female roommates. She said that, yeah, Stefan was still doing his snuggling with Maddie, even though they were broken up. It was a time where Stefan actually moved out and got another girlfriend in his life, and Jenn claims that she was dating other men. Now, the thing that was so sickening about this is the other girlfriend, Stefan's new girlfriend, she was pissed off because every night he would have to go over to the Soto house because he said, oh, Jenn and Maddie, they can't sleep without me. So he would have to go over there. He had also, and I'm so glad that this woman went to the authorities, he had also said one night he's doing his snuggling with Maddie and he got an erection and had to face the other way. I don't know what else happened in that conversation, but disgusting. She broke up with him immediately, and good. He probably didn't care because he wanted to be at the Soto house anyway. He really did. Now, Maddie was happy when he actually left. She told her guidance counselor that she didn't like Stefan, that he was weird, he ate all the food, and was always hanging out in the living room. And he made her feel uncomfortable. And she was happy that he left. Those was in Maddie's words from the guidance counselor. So this is how she felt about her stepfather. She thought that he was weird. The roommates were interviewed, and they claim they'd never seen anything strange, that Stefan was like a stepfather, until they found out that Stefan had been recording them, and he had videos and pictures of them in various stages of nude. And when they found that out, they felt that now he is capable of anything. Maddie had also been given medicine at night. Jenn would give it to her, and sometimes Stefan would give it to her. And one time, without communication, they had both gave it to her. Jenn said that she had to call poison control. And in these videos, authorities say that Maddie seems to be knocked out, like she is, in a very deep sleep. So a lot of these times, he probably was drugging her. Most definitely. Hours before Maddie was murdered, Stefan was on an app called Telegram at 11:49 p.m. Now, it's a new app that a lot of pedos are using, because you know how Snapchat, where you can send a message and it allegedly disappears? Well, you can send videos now and they disappear. So he was on that app, Telegram. It's also been said that for a man that didn't have a job and no means of income, that his father was still fitting the bill for him in his 30s, late 30s, that he started to come into a lot of money. And it's a belief that maybe he was selling videos of Maddie on the dark web. That's not too far-fetched at all. At her makeshift room with that set up tripod, he probably was doing it all over the house, wherever he could. Sick. So Jenn is still speaking with detectives. She isn't understanding how. She didn't hear anything. Again, him taking the body out. That, something's really wrong with this woman. I'm sorry. She's also on a disability. And she takes some kind of medication that Stefan at one time was stealing from her. Also, in these videos, that I also heard that she was dabbling in some other things. I don't know if it was just marijuana, but she was dabbling into some other things too. So Jenn pretty much was high and messed up on, doctor prescribed drugs, getting her a good sleep, while her man was just basically having her way with Maddie. And that's just the end of the story. She's doped up and she doesn't know what the hell is going on with her daughter. And the two other women in the house, they just locked their doors and I guess minded their business. That's all I can think. Now, the morning of Maddie's disappearance, the roommate did say that she heard noises from 11 to 2:30 a.m. to where she finally fell asleep. Then that morning, she seen Stefan washing clothes and going up and down the stairs. She never seen him wash clothes anymore. They say he's a pig. He's a slob. So for her to see him washing clothes, that was kind of alarming. So Maddie's mother is supposed to be the key witness, and she has not been charged. How is she a witness when she claims she didn't witness anything, right? But she's supposed to be a key witness right now. But in other videos, I did see where they're saying that if she lied about anything, but we can clearly see that she has been kind of fibbing about some things, that it can possibly change. And it depends on what Stefan has to say, because Stefan hasn't really said anything just yet. He hasn't. He's been avoiding even going to his court appearances because he knows the camera's on him. But Stefan, get over yourself. We all know the sickening shit that you did to this little girl. Maddie wanted to spend the night at her best friend's house, but Jenn wouldn't let her. The best friend had a father there and a brother there, and Jenn was afraid that Maddie would be abused.
This is Maddie's father. His name is Tyler Wallace.
Father, her biological father, wanted Maddie to come to Texas for a few weeks. I believe she did. But in text messages, Jenn told the father there better not be any abuse there or anyone recording Maddie. Isn't that crazy? She's telling the biological father that this better not be happening when my daughter goes down there, because it's happening here, you know? Like, come on, just nuts, just nuts for real. And you know what? A little side note, when Jenn had to become a single mother, and the other woman would get the ring and get the wedding, Jenn probably felt some type of way. I'm pretty sure she did. And I'm pretty sure that she grabbed the first thing. Oh, and Stephen was happy. She grabbed the first thing. She wanted to look like, hey, I got somebody over here too. You have someone, I have someone. And she was trying to just make it look like, you know, she was winning too, when in reality, you lost. You know, this was a pedo's dream. For real. I have covered a lot of stories and listened to a lot of stories where, you know, kids was being essayed by the boyfriend, or, you know, somebody living in the house, and the mother would, you know, turn a blind eye to it and act like it didn't happen. But I mean, this mother, she's directing them. Go upstairs. I'm gonna just get doped up and go to sleep. I mean, a pedo's dream. A pedo's dream. He is with this little girl all day long. And the reason why this kind of stands out more than other stories that I've researched and looked at is because he was able to have other women outside of the home, but still every night report back there. He didn't have to pay rent. Whatever he did, he could do it right there in that house. He could have had the mother and the daughter in the same day. You know, seriously, a pedo's dream. She lost big time. She really did. Maddie's best friend. They're the same age. And, you know, they discuss each other's cycles. And yes, all us women, we know back in the day when we had a best friend, we would always get it at the same time for some reason. And Maddie and her best friend, they would get their periods at the same time. And the friend recalls that Maddie didn't get hers in January. I think that's when a lot of the speculation of the fact that maybe Maddie was pregnant had came out. Maddie also told her best friend, Jenn, that her mother said that she was going to put her out the house when she turned 18 years old. And I really do believe that. So people think that Maddie was pregnant and that's why she was killed. I think that if she was pregnant, I'm not saying that she wasn't, but I don't think that would be the reason why Stefan would have killed her. Because Jenn is stupid. He probably would have took her to get a termination, because remember, she probably was pregnant by the crush, you know. He would have fixed it to where Jenn believed everything. Jenn would have probably took her to get a termination. Definitely. And they would have just kept this BS going. For real. I don't think that stopped anything. I really don't. I really don't. I think I only think this. I haven't seen anything in any video saying this, but I think that Stefan killed her because Maddie had a crush on a little boy that was probably 12, 13, 14, you know, while Steven's knocking 40. I believe that. I believe that he got upset with it. Stefan was doing anything and everything around there in that townhouse. He was intimate with women outside the townhouse. He was intimate with Jenn. He was he was abusing her daughter. So he was having his way. So there was no reason that he needed to kill Maddie. Not at all. Not at all. She even told the police that she was...
Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. I had to cut in one more time because Jenn, she's going to make a reference about Woody Allen when he was molesting his adopted daughter. This is Mia Farrow's and his adopted daughter. And he tried to say later on that he did not adopt Soon-Yi, but he was a father figure. He was in the home. He had access to her. And now, all these decades later, he's still with Soon-Yi. Soon-Yi is 53 years old and he is 88 years old now, but no one has forgotten how sick and creepy he was, what was going on in that home. And Mia Farrow, she witnessed it all. And Soon-Yi is still there. And I do believe that they have children together. And I do know one of those children just so happened to be a little girl who is now an adult woman. Hopefully she wasn't violated like her mother was.
Was scared that he would do the Woody Allen thing. If everybody knows, Woody was with Mia Farrow and they had Soon-Yi, I think her name was, and they were raising her together. And then when she got 18, they ran off together and he married her and they're still together to this day, right? But Mia did say that Woody was abusing her. She even came in and caught Woody with his head between Soon-Yi's legs when she was 9, So, I mean, that's the Woody Allen thing. So, yeah, Jenn knew. Jenn acts like she's a fucking airhead, but she knew exactly what was going on around there. She did know that. That's why she said she was going to kick her out when she turned 18. She wanted to have Stefan all to herself, I guess, right? Jenn said her mother instilled in her not to trust men. But she did not listen to her mother, not at all, because she trusted the worst one. The worst one. So yeah, I think that Stefan was just angry that Maddie had a crush on another guy. So in Florida, they have the death penalty, and that is what Stefan is looking at. If not, definitely life in prison without parole. He is not getting out. He is not getting out. Did you hear the conversation that he had with his dad, where he needed to have his social security card and he needed certain things for when he got out? Dude, you're not getting out. You're not getting out. Because the father was like, yeah, I'm going to be dead. Your mom's going to be dead. Your brother's going to be dead. And Stefan was like, yeah, I'll probably be dead too. But on the flip side, if I'm not, these are things I'm going to need. I mean, you're not getting out. You're not getting out. Not at all. Not at all. So again, most of us are waiting for Jenn Soto to be arrested, and they have her as the key witness. But again, she witnessed nothing. Justice for Maddie Soto. I'm so sorry, little girl, you had to go through this with these disgusting people, Stefan and your mother. Now, one thing for sure, my videos hardly get into the algorithm. Every now and then they get into the algorithm. But the one thing of people who do watch my videos is when I'm talking about their loved ones or them. They definitely watch them. And Jenn Soto, if you ever come across this video, and one day you might, or one day your sister might, your mother might, somebody might, you are a horrible, disgusting woman. You're not naive and stupid as you put on. You aided to everything that happened to your daughter. You pushed her time and time again to be in this man's company. You kept breaking up with him. He kept coming back. Even when you guys so-called wasn't together, he's still in there snuggling with your daughter. He has a whole nother girlfriend, but every night he's back in your house. He even started paying rent in room 4 for a period of time, so he can keep snuggling with your daughter, and Lord knows what else. And now she's not here. You may have not put hands on her to end her life, but you aided in everything up to that point. You are a very, very sick, horrible woman. Again, justice for Maddie Soto.